Hello, how is everybody? It's Sunday evening. I'm enjoying one glass of wine after a long week and a long weekend. On behalf of the GBR team, Great Britain, I thought been magnificent, and also Jamaica as well. So very proud to be of dual nationality. For those that know, or don't know should I say, I represented Jamaica as a footballer, but I am very, very proud to say I'm born in England. So tonight, Olympics close, but well done to all the guys who are abroad in Brazil. Hi Sherry, Martin, Kev, Adam, my uncles on the line, Rocket. Going to give it about another minute. And now very own Usain Bolt. Hey John and Meggie, how are you? You good? Martin, looking forward to this one because I know you've got a lot to hit back on. And he does a lot of work with Clifton Allwhites. Hey, Carleen, all the way from Canada. You know what's been amazing? And I have to say hi, Carleen. I have to say this has been truly amazing. So we've done talks on terrorism, homeless, addiction. What else we've done talks on? There's been quite a few in the last 4 or 5 weeks. And I've been getting emails, texts, and really nice messages from all over the world, which is really good to know that people find this stimulating enough to tune in from wherever you are around the world. 1 minute. That's better, got some charge. So yes, it's been really good to hear the comments, and actually comments that maybe not agree, because sometimes in the way that you don't agree, you actually learn a lot more. Heard a mad stat about Usain Bolt. You won 9 goals in less than 100 seconds. Ah dear. Okay, that's quite funny actually. Okay, we're going to get going in a short while. So tonight's subject is we're not going as spiritual as what we usually do. For those that know or don't know, I always try and match up not my thought process, because it would be rude to say that I know everything, because obviously I don't. But what I've always tried to do is match up whatever subject we are talking about, so it's in adherence to God's word. Rafs, how are you? Long-time school friend of mine, Stuart Raffle. Okay, let me get this light sorted out. By the way, last week I tried to play a song before we started, because I always like to give it a minute or so allow people to join. And Facebook contacted me and said that I couldn't play the song on my Facebook, which is quite hilarious. So for those that are thinking, oh well, usually Jono plays a song before he starts. There's no song this week because Facebook tried to intervene. So Stephanie, you're good. Okay. 1 minute. We're nearly there. Couple more seconds and we shall kick off. Like that one, kick off. Okay, youth football. There's been a lot of talk about youth football over the last couple of years, months, when you look at the England team and what's happened in the Euros this year. It's quite interesting, watching the team. When you look at the Premier League and you see the lack of English talent in the Premier League, it's been quite interesting to see Billy, how are you? It's quite interesting to see how that all filters down into academies where I currently work and into grassroots level where I currently am. My children play at different levels. One's in an academy, one's at a grassroots club, and I feel like I'm in a very privileged place to talk about it because not only was I once a footballer, I'm now a coach, coaching in the academy, who's also got 3 boys. Hi, Dave. I know that Dave's got a lot to say on this. So I'm a former footballer that came through the academy system in Notts County. I'm now currently coaching. I have 3 boys, 2 of them just starting out at the local clubs in Derby, Spondon Dynamos, and one's obviously in the academy at Nottingham Forest. So as a holistic viewpoint, I see the lot. Where do we start here now? Because there's a couple of dimensions here. There's parents, there's kids, there's coaches, and there's infrastructure. Let's start with coaches. So coaches at the younger ages, particularly in grassroots clubs, I see a lot of passion. I see a lot of men who really want to do well with their young kids, some fantastic desire and willingness to help youngsters. You know, they set up the pitches. I know one parent that cuts the pitches so the kids can play on it. I know another parent who picks the kids up all the way around the city centre and then goes back to his local pitch to go and play football. What I see, and I have to be honest, is there's a lot of coaches who coach, but maybe coaching out of ego more than coaching out of the benefit of the kids. So is youth football about youngsters learning and developing this in their kids? Of course it is up to a certain age, particularly the younger ages as well. And I'm talking like 8, 9, 10. It's about developing kids. It's about opening up a potential to kids. It's about kids enjoying football. It's about them being able to socialise, to find the mistakes, but also to find the solutions to what the game throws at them. And some kids, it's about them developing as people, finding their confidence, finding that they're okay in amongst other people that they might not have met and spoke to. It's finding that they can find solutions to the problems that the game throws at them. But also it's about making new friends. So when I see a coach sometimes really barrack young kids for a mistake, yes, Gilly says, just because it's too many coaches want the kids to do well for their ego. Exactly, Gilly. Gilly works in the academy system. He knows exactly what I'm talking about. There's so many coaches that it's for their ego. They want to be able to go into the workplace tomorrow and say, I stuffed this guy 4-0, 3-0, 2-0. We're 5 unbeaten. I've not lost a game since December. I'm on a winning streak. Who gives a damn about what kind of winning streak you're on? What I want to know, and I'm sure other parents want to know, is number 1, do the kids enjoy it? Number 2, are they developing the skills? Number 3, are they playing with a smile on their face? Number 4, are you posing questions and you're asking them to do things that they might not have thought about doing before the game so that they feel a sense of achievement when the game's finished? And number 5, are they making friends? This is where the growth of young players, for me, really is. It's about unearthing that skill. It's about unearthing that mind that is a little bit intuitive. The mind that wants to find out a little bit more, that might want to go past 2 and 3 players. I'm fed up of hearing coaches say, pass the ball, pass the ball. What if this player can go past 2 and 3 players? What a coach should be saying to a young player is to know when to pass the ball at the right time. But don't knock out the skill of certain young players. Encourage your young players to express themselves. And if they can go past people, let's have a look at you. Let's see how good you are. Can you beat one? And if you beat two, is it the right thing to pass the ball? Or do you think you can beat three? This is where the coaches, I believe, set that environment where kids should be able to be challenged in an environment that is free of any sort of ridicule. Parents shouldn't be heckling. I've heard parents go, "Oh, he's greedy, he doesn't pass the ball." He's 5, 6 years old, 7, 8, 9 years old. He's learning the game, or she's learning the game. So it's not just about what you can do on the ball. It's about also encouraging others. It's about encouraging them. It's about being there for these kids. It's about developing these youngsters. And as I said, sometimes it's not about football. Kevin says, I coach under 13s this season. My son is also a goalkeeper coach with me. He is 15, by the way, and we encouraged to participate and enjoy by being part of a team. Fantastic. Develop what is there and teach what isn't there. Okay. It's always sideways and backwards, looking tidy. Where's the flair gone? The flair's gone because we are coaching. We're like robots at the minute. We see a lot of these teams play fast tempo football. We see teams pass the ball really well, the Barcelonas and the Real Madrid, and that's fine. And we're all trying to get towards that model. But if we're not careful, we're going to lose the Paul Gascoignes. We're going to lose the Chrissy Waddles. We're going to lose the Johnny Barnes. We're going to lose those sort of players who really lit up the leagues that we were able to watch. We've got to encourage players to be forward thinking, to find solutions to what the game throws at them. And if they get tackled, so what? The coaching now comes into place when you start to talk about maybe that might not be the right decision. What do you think you possibly could do next time? Oh, I tell you what, you got tackled this time, but I bet you could go past him again the next time. I bet you could go past two. How do you challenge these youngsters, the coaches? But you should focus on the last thing you should focus on is on the scoreline. You're not at the professional level yet where 3 points means you might lose your job. 3 points means that the fans are going home unhealthy. 3 points means that the chairman is not a happy man. 3 points means that the local media is on your backs. It's not about that yet. This is about developing young kids. And it's not just about football. It's a social thing here where kids are integrating with people that they may not have integrated with before, learning a new skill, adapting to a new way of life. For some of them, it's quite new, and they should be encouraged to flourish and have fun. And if a kid can't play in an environment with a smile on his face or her face, something, I'm afraid, is wrong with that environment. But he said, Jono, they started that model 30 years ago and we think we can just drop on it. It's crazy, but a very English mentality. So the coaches, I'd encourage you to set down your store early doors. I'd encourage you from the start of pre-season to have a meeting with the parents, with the players, and state how you want your environment to look. Yes, Mr. Johnson, let them shine and enjoy the benefits of developing social skills, confidence, discipline. If my son develops into a young, well-led man, first of all, then I know we're on the right track. Hi, Tony. Thanks. And you're spot on. I don't know if that's Lisa or my uncle. But the football installs so many other things in life. Discipline. So as a footballer, I had to live a certain way, couldn't eat a certain, wouldn't eat certain foods, and still don't eat certain foods because of the way I lived. But also the discipline to get up at certain times. That I can't do this if this is what I really want to achieve. So it set up certain disciplines that benefited me within my life, but also the social side of it, it was massive. My son has benefited from the football academy on a social aspect unbelievably, to the point where if he didn't, and there's a high percentage that he possibly won't, then what he gets from the academy is untold. I'm not focusing on him being a footballer. I'm not focusing on the trappings, what are over here. What I'm focusing on, what I can see developing in him right now, and that is a confident, well managed young man who's got discipline, who's training, is keeping his body well fit, and is also being able to socialise with people from different aspects, different cultures, different backgrounds from all over the Midlands. He cannot do anything but flourish in that environment. Whatever happens after that, that's fine. But as a young man, it's developed him immensely. And that is the mindset, whether you're in a grassroots club, whether you're coaching under 7s or 8s, 9s, 10s, whether you're at Notts County doing the 15s, 16s, 17s, 18s, that's the sort of environment where youngsters will flourish if you allow them to come up with the answers. If you allow them to be able to try and go past one, go past two. And I know there's coaching what has to take place, but let the coaches coach and the parents watch. And I'm coming on to the parents right now. Shelley says, build their confidence and let the kids be kids and just enjoy it. Absolutely. The kids aren't there for our enjoyment. Let's get this right. When you go and watch the kids, you don't pay £20 a month to Sky and you have the right to complain because you're not getting entertained. The kids are there to learn. And what I see is some kids are frightened to try things because of the environment which is set doesn't allow them to try things. The kids are there to learn. Go into a 7, 8-year-old classroom and see if kids don't make mistakes. They make mistakes left, right and centre in the classroom. But the classroom environment eventually allows them to learn. And that's the same way we should approach our young talent, boys and girls in this country. Yep, I'm coming to that one, Kev. You know someone, I've got the colours on. Okay, so that's a little briefing on the coaches. Set your environment, coaches. Have a meeting, talk to the parents, and I'm going to come on to the parents now. Talk to the parents about the environment you'd like, and if they don't agree with the environment you set, then that is a decision that you're going to have to make, if that's the right environment for certain kids. And it's a tough one, because whilst you want to keep the kids, because the kids aren't at fault here, you're going to have to make a decision if certain parents are behaving and conducting in a way that isn't appropriate. I believe that kids should have an equal amount of time, particularly at the younger age groups, because it's not about picking your best team. It's about the kids developing. And also, what are you doing to the mentality of a young player if this young player is sat on the sideline week after week after week in the sunshine, in the rain, in the snow, and being the one that's left out? Mentally, you are doing something to that child. You are telling that child that, you know what, I don't think you're good enough. I don't trust you. So that's real talk. If you do not pick somebody on a week in, week out basis who's not old enough mentally to understand, why am I not being selected? Then you're already starting to implement certain beliefs that this child is not good enough to play. So be careful. But that's the sort of thing that you should be saying in the meeting before the season starts, that all players should get an equal amount of time. It will be shared. There will be no, well, he's the best player or she's the best player, we're going to leave them on. No, not at the younger ages, no. It's about it being accessible for all for equal amount of time, and let the kids enjoy. And you know what? If you win the game and you get all that, you've got a club that is going somewhere. You've got a club that is developing people, first and foremost, developing youngsters, and also developing a correct environment for them to flourish. Okay, Craig says, when I played as a kid, my parents never watched, but I was glad. Glad as I saw other kids' parents just shouting, swearing, in my opinion, ruined the kids' day. Parents are going to come on to you now. Okay, so that's the coach's parents. Oh my word. Glass of wine. Well done, GB team, Jamaica. Okay, so the parents now. This is interesting. So we are all passionate about our children. We all want our children to do well in whatever walk of life it is. But when you hand your child over to a coach to be coached by someone who takes an interest in setting up the equipment, who's collecting the subs, who's giving them the kit, what you are saying is basically, I'm going to hand my child over to you for an hour, hour and a half, and you, because I am handing him over to you, I'm leaving you. I'm not leaving you, but I'm giving you access to coach my child. So, as a parent, stand back and allow your children to be coached by the coach, because you've literally, without signing anything, signed up that this person is able to qualify my child. Sorry, able to coach my child. When the child's in the middle of the game, I hear so many shouts. Pass it, pass it. He's greedy. Get him off. What are you doing? You've missed the target. How can, number one, a coach concentrate on his team when you're shouting obscene remarks in a child environment, by the way? You as a grown-up adult, whether it's the mum or the dad, need to conduct yourself better. Encourage by all means. We all love sport and we all want to encourage our kids and hopefully the team, because it is a team environment. So we should all be looking to encourage the children first and foremost, and allow the coach to deal with the technical aspect. Now, if you don't agree with what the coach is giving, then there's better ways to shout. Sorry, there's better ways to deal with it than shout obscene gestures and remarks to the coach. I've heard parents say, "Oh, why are you taking him off? Why are you taking him off? He's rubbish." You're talking about another child going on a pitch. He's rubbish or she's rubbish. Why are you taking him off? To give another child a chance. Parents, as I said before, the game is not for you. The game is not for your entertainment. The game is not Sky Sports. And I'm going to say this as well. To some of the parents, what failed in football, failed as a footballer, just because you're frustrated because you didn't make it, then don't put all that hopes and dreams and all that pressure on the young person. It's not fair. It's not right. There's ways you can channel your hopes and dreams in a positive way that will allow your child to flourish without putting the pressure because you didn't make it, or, this was going to be said, you see the trappings because you see Rooney getting 300 grand and you think, my son or daughter could get that. Or you see somebody earning 20 grand a week. My son or daughter could get that. They're in the academy. It's sad, but I'm telling you now, it's true. There's so many parents that are looking at the bigger picture. It is unreal. true. And with that bigger picture comes pressure. And you are mounting the pressure on your children in a way that isn't good. It's going to come tumbling down. Just let the children play. Just let the coaches coach. Just support the environment. And parents, the environment that the coaches set out, you should be governing it. When the coach says that this is the environment that I want to create, then as a parent, anybody that steps out of line with the agreement that we as the parents of the children make, we should help the coach in some way, shape or form and say, listen, that's not wanted around here, please. Listen, by all means support, encourage, but we don't tolerate that sort of language. Listen, the kids are all in it together. We're pulling all together. This is the way that you create a real strong environment that all children of all ages, if you do that in your club, I guarantee it will flourish. How do I know? Because I've done it for the last how many years. And I'm doing it right now as a coach. Creating the right environment is so underestimated. It's so underestimated. Okay, let's read some of these. The main problem is that parents, the main problem is the parents. I remember one game when I was 10, 11, and I dropped the ball in the net, in the diamond minutes. One parent of another player called me everything under the sun. Not swearing, but hurtful words. I wanted to quit, but this parent went on to criticize every other player apart from his lad. It's amazing. People want to quit because of how the parents conduct themselves. Because they want them to win. At what expense? As a coach coaching my son, I sometimes find I'm a bit more harder on him than the other boys in our team. Because it's your son. And you want the best for your son. Listen, we all want the best for our children, boys and girls. But there's a way. I find the best way is to encourage. Set them goals. Set them targets. Set them targets. As a coach, I set my team targets all the time. As a team, targets all the time. And you focus more on the targets and the objective more than the result. Let me ask you a question. If you said to your child, no matter what age, I want you to do this for me today. I want you to try your best, and please, I don't feel very well, but mum or dad wants you to try and clean this kitchen or clean this living room to the best of your ability. Okay? The child's all excited. Oh, really, really? I'm going to try my best. I'm going to try my hardest. Let's see how you get on. And if you do, there might be another little surprise or something that I'll give you as a reward because you've been fantastic. The child then sets off, cleaning away, hurrying away, and comes back. Mum, Dad, I've done it. You then get up and browse the kitchen. Now your child's had a go. Tried to do it to the best of their ability. Maybe not yours, but it's tried. What are you going to do? Are you going to throw the dummy out and ridicule your child and, oh, this is rubbish, what you're doing? Or are you going to go, what? No, unbelievable. Oh, that's brilliant. I tell you what, I never knew you could do that so well. You see, if you do that to a child, or he grows, his eyes, all of a sudden he thinks he's got it. He might have got it. She might have got it. She might have done it. But then next week you go again. And all of a sudden you start building blocks and blocks and blocks. And where you were 6 weeks ago, 6 weeks later, you're over there somewhere. Because of the objectives that you have set the individuals and the team to actually reach. Now, if they don't reach the objectives, maybe they might need help. They might need encouragement. They might need a word of advice. Rather than, oi, it's rubbish, what you doing? Because all you're doing is setting them back further and further. So parents, it's about governing the environment. It's also about speaking in the right and positive way to encourage the children, not to throw out obscene gestures and remarks. It's not helpful to anyone. It's not helpful to the environment. It's not helpful to the kids. all you're doing is creating a real bad atmosphere. And I'm sure you don't really mean to create that, but that's what you're doing. In these day and age, that will never happen, which is the same as the use. You had cardboard in your shoes and never quit. Hence, that's why you're such a... And you're right, I did have cardboard in my shoes as a young boy. I'm not embarrassed to say that. You're so right, Case. Just trying to see some of these. Well said, Michael. You can see it all too often. You can see the children drowning in pressure. Gary said that because I've said about the kitchen. Everybody's kitchen's going to be spotless next week. Brilliant. So, okay. So what we spoke about the coaches, and we spoke about the parents. What about the kids? What about the players? Let me unravel this. I believe every young player, every young boy and girl's got talent. It just needs to be nurtured. It just needs to be unearthed. It just needs to be fed. And sometimes through football and through sports, you may find that you unearth things that kids don't know about themselves. And it may not be football. It may be that they find their confidence, they find their social skills, and they apply that to something else. So what we are developing is not just footballers. These are men and women for the future. You as a coach have so much upon your shoulders. It's not just about developing footballers. It's developing the right character, the disciplines, the focus, inspirational stories, motivating these kids, giving these kids tasks, objectives. This is outside of football. These are fundamental things that will govern them through their life. Now let's talk about football. So when a coach takes on these kids, this is what some of these kids are faced with. And let's be truthful, let's be harsh. Majority of these kids, out of every 100 kids, maybe 4 or 5 might break the mold. So Dave Norton has got his own academy which runs in Nottingham and the surrounding areas. Dave used to be a footballer, played at Aston Villa, Notts County and Hull. I used to clean his boots, by the way. Bags of experience. Like I said, he's got his own academy. So he hits on these problems on a day-to-day basis. So I have to read this. I share your thoughts totally. As we have discussed before, your words need to be promoted by other ex-players and maybe a local, national campaign to educate parents, coaches and players. Rugby and hockey clubs seem to have a different approach which would benefit the football environment. Kids will always, and I think I lost you there. Oh, I lost that last little bit, Dave. But he's right, this needs to be a regular thing happening across the UK. I see there's so many stories about the parents, the kids, the coaches, the advice what parents don't have or have been told over and over and they don't quite get. So there's an alarming lack of support which is available to families. And I'm going to hit on that before I leave. So going back to the kids, so a lot of these kids won't make it, but you can put certain blocks in place that would allow them to flourish in life from a young age. If you can get them young, then you're forming the real structure of this human being. If you can put certain qualities within that child at a young age, you've got a great chance of developing a successful human being. May not be a footballer, may go into somewhere else. But it's not just about winning. In kids, it's not just about winning. It's about being able to develop. It's about being able to explore, to socialize, to have fun. You're at an age where you shouldn't be just focusing on the scoreline because it's irrelative. You are all winners in our eyes. You're all out there doing something that you enjoy and you're passionate about. And as you keep training, you'll get better and better and you'll develop new skills. Lewis Clark says every young player wants to be on the telly. Parents want too much from a young player. Too much pressure on too many people sometimes pushes kids away from the sport. And you spot on. The pressure that the coaches, because it's about ego, we don't want to get beat, I want to win, I want to beat my mate who's on the other side, is overtaken. What are you developing? What can you see? And this is a big one. If you don't look closely enough, you'll miss the development of some of the youngsters that are growing before your very eyes, because the focus is not on them developing, it's on the scoreline. I'm not going to stay much longer, but like I said, a lot of the kids, and this is why I wanted to talk about potentially setting something up. A lot of the kids now get to an age where they're not going to make it. Unfortunately, 16, 17, they've been told, sorry son, you're not going to make it. The whole pyramid of the family collapses. The mum and dad, maybe the youngster himself, brothers and sister, their lives are turned upside down because this child has been in an academy since the age of 8, 9 years old. What do you do? Who do you turn to? Who picks your child up? What advice can you go and get? And this is where it's so important that a network is put around you as a family to enable the youngster to actually come again. I say to my son who's 12, think about something that you enjoy in and around football. If I said to you now, you're not going to make it as a footballer, what would you want to do in football? Because I know you love football. Now that might be a physio, that might be a sports psychologist, psychiatrist, that might be a sports science, that might be a fitness instructor, that might be a member on the analytical staff, that might be a coach who works for the under 10s, 12s, 11s, 12s, 13s, 14s, that might be somebody who works in the admin department, secretary, whatever it is. What takes your interest? It could be a groundsman. What takes your interest outside being the footballer? Because if you've got a second interest, go and chase it. Go and get educated in it, or find out what are the steps for you to get educated in it. Because you can be at the World Cup, but you're not on the starting 11. You can be at Wembley, but you're not in the starting 11. You can be at Meadow Lane, but you're not in the squad. But you are an integral part of what's going on. So I'd encourage, and this is the message I really want to leave, I would encourage all parents who have children that have a passion, a love for football, ask them, if they couldn't make it as a footballer, what would they do? What other part of the environment of football would you like to be in? Maybe a sports commentator, maybe a journalist, I don't know. But it's so important that we just don't put all the eggs into one basket, especially in this age where the football environment is so hard to get into. Probably another 5 or 10 minutes before I close. A lot of kids who don't make it fall into a life of crime. They fall backwards. The family environment gets turned upside down. Parents don't know what to do. I know many youngsters have been in prison who didn't make it. I know many youngsters what have turned to crime because they didn't make it. So it's imperative that we support our youngsters from a very young age and start to make sure education is still as important as the football, because there's a high percentage that don't make it. And this is what the game doesn't talk about enough. Yeah, we see the 1 and 2 that break through, and right now it is the 1 and 2, but unfortunately there is such a high percentage. Where did they go? What did they do? Football's been their life. That's all I know. So when we look at the grassroots pitches, and I know some of us want to talk about the infrastructure of grassroots pitches, the prices that the council are putting on, they're outpricing clubs. They can't afford the payments per week, per month to play on these pitches. It's just impossible. All of a sudden, because standard of living or whatever they want to say has gone up, they put a hike on the prices, which is then forcing a lot of clubs throughout the UK to close down, because they can't then apply those cost hikes to the players because they can't afford to do it. There's so much now where houses are being built left, right and centre. So what used to be areas of play for myself and other kids and youngsters, you look now, they've got an Asda on there, they've got a Tesco on there, they've got houses on there. This now implodes into boredom because the kids can't run around with the football because they've got nowhere to run around with. And obviously, as you know, boredom then turns into something else. Crime. So I'd encourage anybody who's from the council or anybody who has a tentacle into the council to talk about these issues and how we can preserve a lot of our play areas, a lot of our green and grass areas, so that the youngsters can play on it and play in a safe, free environment, just like we did when we were kids. And I understand times have changed and, you know, there's so many pitfalls for these youngsters. But if we can create a lot more environments what are safe, lit up, in good areas, what I mean by good areas, in areas where, you know, people can see, families can see, it's not hidden away, then I'm sure a lot of kids will benefit from that. If we can start to talk to some of these clubs about the prices and not putting the prices so high so that the kids can benefit from playing football at not a ridiculous price, then I think that also helps us all. Everybody wins. The policing team win, the families win, the kids win. It's a winner all round. So when I see a lot of youth disturbances in certain cities, you have to understand why. Kids are getting bored. They're getting outpriced. They're getting kicked off areas where they would have played football. One of the guys says for his team to play last year, it was £10,500. Come on. So that's like nearly 800 quid a month. You split that 2, 4, 6, 200 quid a week. He's now got to find. So what eventually probably would happen? Team folds. Then you got a lot of kids now who are not getting exercise, obesity, costs the government in the end. You've got a lot of kids now who are bored, get into crime, ends up costing the government in the end. A lot of kids now who don't exercise, don't get the social skills, don't interact with other kids, then that can start to lead to certain resentment against other kids that they don't play with. There's so many knock-on effects just because we want to stick a house up and we want to stick an Asda on there. So Bick, my friend from Birmingham, said we used to sponsor St Andrews Athletics. Sadly had to finish for similar reasons after 50 years of running. My word. There's ours, Pete. How are you? You good? the council need to watch. Seriously, you can't keep hiking up the prices and making kids, pay higher. One guy's just telling me it's £300 a game it worked out. How the So you're getting grassroots clubs closing. That's impacting communities on a big scale. And this is why when you see a lot of the problems with the youth of today, you've got to dig deeper. You can't just take it for face value and say, well, the youth are, running riot. There's lots of problems and issues out there. And a little thing like this, closing a lot of the areas where kids can play football, can play any form of sport, running, tennis, whatever it may be, causes this. There's boredom, there's frustration, there's energy that wants to be burned. And these kids are just hanging around on corners thinking, what am I going to do? Especially if the family's not a well-off family. What am I going to do? I've not got a PlayStation. We don't have Sky. And that's another one that I'm going to hit, Sky. I think BBC One, and probably there's people more qualified than me to talk about it, do a good job with athletics and stuff like that. But where's football now on TV? Where can you find football on BBC 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Unless it's Match of the Day. So what you're saying is basically, unless you've got Sky, you don't qualify to watch football. So what you're saying is, unless you've got money, don't bother think you can watch the best players in the world. Sadly, not every family can afford 50, 60, 70 pounds a month to throw in towards Sky. So when you talk about motivational stories for our youngsters, they don't see the Agueros every week because they can't afford that. So when I see the FA Cup, something that I grew up watching, now going on to mainstream Sky, I wince, because that might be the only glimpse that lesser families get to see world-class players play football, because everything now is being taken. Pitches are being taken. Football clubs are being folded. The very football that some of these youngsters watch on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is being taken. Champions League is being taken. I think that one's now going to Sky. So what is left? What is left for some of these youngsters? Who inspires them if they don't watch the TV, if they can't afford Sky in the house? Surely there's got to be something that you can say, do you know what? Let's leave League 2 or League 1 to the one, BBC 1, 2, 3 or 4 or 5. Let's leave the FA Cup so these youngsters that can't afford Sky can watch some of their heroes. Sky is killing the English game. The money that they pumped into the Premier is ridiculous. Nobody cares about the grassroots anymore. And I have to say, Martin, you're spot on. When you look at the money which is coming into the game, listen, nobody's going to say, I dare anybody to tell me they're going to turn down 200 grand a week. You ain't. But surely, with all this money, they need to be putting more into the youth and the grassroots program. Some of the grassroots pitches I saw last year, which were unplayable for 3-4 months, was unbelievable due to the bad weather. So when you talk about resources, when you talk about kids, when you talk about parents, when you talk about the coaches, there's 4 big aspects there to grassroots youth football. Now, all I want to see is kids. All I want to see is my sons having fun. Don't care if they can go past 1. Don't care if they can go past 5. Don't care if they can stick it top corner. Don't care if they can't hit the corner flag. I ain't bothered. I want them to have fun. I want them to develop as human beings. I want them to make new friends. I want them to be challenged. I want them to excel in a area of just being themselves. And I also want the coach to pose them questions and challenges so that they can see when they put their mind to something they can achieve. And I want them to do this without any parent ridiculing him because he's trying something, as a normal 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old would try to see if they could get success. Let me tell you this, what happened to me the other day. So, yes, you're right, Case. David Traits Millsy, like, yo, could do this. You're spot on. Let me tell you what happened to me the other day. So, my son came in from school and he had a exam coming up. So he said to me, Dad, I want you to see if you can help me with a couple of questions. So I sat down in the old way and said, right, what questions are they? And he gave me some additions, subtractions, multiplications. And I did it in what I thought was the correct way, which was, for those that know, you put one line, a second line, draw a main line over there, and you add. Come down, carry over. He said to me, Dad, that's not the way you do it. Me and my stubbornness was like, yes, it is. Yes, it is. He said, Dad, it's not. I said, yes, it is. Yes, it is. This is the answer here. This is the way you should be doing it. And he said, Dad, it's not. So I said to him, okay, show me how you get to this number, because I'm telling you my way is right. He did something completely different to how I would have done it, but got to the same number. And I had to say to him, that's really good, because you challenged me to find more ways to get to the number that I got to, which was right, by the way, but it's not just one way. So what am I saying to the coaches and the parents? If you challenge your kids, if you allow your kids to grow and prosper, then they can find answers to things that I possibly didn't know. And that was a great learning curve for me when he did that there's more ways to that number than I thought. And he did it a completely different way than I would have done it, but he got there in a more efficient way as well, may I add. So these youngsters are creative. These youngsters are willing to learn. They're not there for our viewing. They're not there so that dads can go, ooh, like they're watching the Premier League. No, they're going to make mistakes. They're going to fall down. They're going to trip over. They're going to miss the target. They're going to make 2 and 3 dribbles and lose the ball. But it's up to the environment to make sure you harness the skill. You allow them to flourish. The coaches create the correct environment that you want. Set parameters for the parents from the get-go. Don't get into a situation halfway through the season where you reject saying something. You should have said it from the start. Get in there and set out exactly what you want, how you want the club to run, how you want the parents to behave. Do we all buy into this? Do we all agree? If so, we'll have a great season. All I ask from your kids is that you try your best and explain to the parents. Sometimes they'll get it wrong. Sometimes they will try and go past 3 and 4. Sometimes they will pass when they should have shot. Sometimes they'll shoot when they should have passed. But we are here to learn. We are here to have fun. We are here to move forward. And one thing I said as a young coach, and this is what I said in Notts County before I leave, I said, your son's going to be with me from 2 years as a scholarship program, 16 to 18. And I said, what I can't promise is that your son will be a professional footballer when he comes out of the scholarship program. Can't promise it. But what I will promise is that 2 years in this environment, your son will leave a better man. There's a young man called Lewis Chambers, and I hope Lewis comes on here at some point. And I love this young guy. But I noticed quite early on that he was just going to come up short on his scholarship program. 16 to 18 years I had him. Great background, but a clever lad. I said to Lewis, Lewis, this is in the last year. What do you're a bright lad. What do you like doing? He says, oh, I love football. I want to be a footballer. I said, what if you couldn't be a footballer? What would you like to do? He said, oh, I'd love to go into sports science or some kind of fitness work with kids. I said, do you know what you should do? If I was you, and which I said to everybody, follow that. I said, by all means, we're going to work with you for the next year. We're going to throw everything at you to make your dreams come true. But I said, as a player myself, I took a second discipline. I'm telling the same to my children, and I'm saying the rest of the other guys, and I'm saying it to you personally, that I see something in you that I want you to be a footballer, and I hope that you're going to be a footballer. But just in case, make sure that you're educational-wise, you got the back door shut. Lewis didn't make the football grade. I had to release him at 18. A year later, 2 years later, Lewis phoned me for some advice. He'd gone through the university program. He passed out, graduated, got all his certificates as a sports fitness coach. Passed out in sports science. Just needed a footing. We phoned a couple of friends of ours. Lewis is now heading up the academy of Burton Albion. Is that a failure? No. A massive success. Great man, great example to a lot of youngsters out there. Didn't make the grade as a footballer, but made it as a sports scientist, working at a professional club. And this is how God's been good to him. He was at League 2, League 1. He's now working in the Championship. So, after that hour, we've gone round the roundabouts there. I would encourage you all to share this. I hope it's blessed you in some way, shape or form. I know it's not the usual subjects that we talk about, because usually life, but I thought this was important as it's been requested by many of you that this is a subject that you wanted to open up debate about. I hope the conversations that I see coming down my timeline continue. Don't let it stop there. I also hope that you can take some of this into your own clubs and, try and make a difference. Martin, thanks, big man, enjoyed it immensely. He's at Burton Albion, Gary, he's at Burton Albion. Remembers going over your contract as kids when you was offered more than expected when you went to Birmingham and played for Jamaica at Birmingham. What a dream. You're right. I was fortunate to hit many dreams of mine as a footballer. Thanks, Casey, for that. For Notts County, for Birmingham, for Derby, for Jamaica, Sheffield Wednesday, and now working at Cardiff and Derby. So I feel like I'm in a good place to talk about these issues because, like I said, I'm a parent, I'm a coach, was a footballer, and I've got a son in the academy. So I've got a holistic view of what is happening here. And there's lots of good things. I'm not going to say it's all bad. There's lots of good methods, lots of good clubs out there who are getting it right. But more often than not, there's predominantly a lot of bad clubs that are not got the right environment. I think next time we will do something on the professional game, where we're at with the professional game. I know a lot of issues have arose over the last couple of years, where we're going as a nation with England, where we're going with the academies, getting more in depth into the academy football. Dave, we should catch up shortly for sure, Dave. Cause Rochelle, thank you. Very interesting now, thanks. Yeah, there's lots of things that we could go on. We could go on hours and hours about. The main thing is football's there for the kids to enjoy. They should enjoy it without any issues of being barracked, without any issues of being fearful to go and express themselves. Kids shouldn't play with fear. Kids should be free to learn They're learning the game. They're going to make mistakes. So what if they lose? Have they had fun? Have they hit their own objectives? That means they're moving forward. But the result's about you as an individual. If you're a coach, you took it personally because we lost today. But there's more life lessons, I think, to be took from a game if you open it up and you examine it in the right and proper way. And parents, I'd invite you to encourage your kids. Nobody's saying you shouldn't encourage them. Get behind them. Come on, we're better than them. That's, you can do better. You can encourage your kids. There's nothing wrong with that. But when the words used are a little bit more, that's rubbish. What are you doing? Why are you passing to him? That's when I think, come on now, you got to rope that in a little bit, because it's a lot. It's more damaging than it is giving positivity. So enjoy your football. That's all I'm going to say. Enjoy your sport. Hopefully this has helped in some way, shape or form. We've touched across a lot of issues, and I'll be back next Sunday again. I will let you know the subject in the week. I think, yes, in the week I'll talk to you about the next subject. So God bless you all. Have a great end to the weekend and enjoy your week. Ciao.